trying to get with, and you got a new job and a new car, and you just got your own spot. That could be one. One could be marriage, and another one could be your business that's growing. But whatever it is, I want you to think about the highest level of success in your life, not his life. Because this was a king who had everything. Okay, but I want you to think for a moment, what is the most that you could have going on right now? What is the most that you could have going on in your life right now? Because everything that you got going on in your life right now at the highest level, this is what happens when your heart changes. Daniel, the 5th chapter. In the 19th verse, I'm going to start there. I'm going to read this. I'm going to read this. Oh, this doesn't have Bible, so I want you to listen, listen, listen. And for the majesty that he gave him, all people, nations, and languages trembled and feared before him. Whom he would slew. That means he would kill whoever he wanted to kill. And whom he would keep alive. Oh, look at the power. The power of the influence, the power of finance, the power of an individual with money. Something about getting to a place where you no longer are listening to. It's good to not listen to anyone when you can listen to the counsel and the direction of good wisdom and good instruction being God. But it's bad when you have opened yourself up to listen to foul, foolish direction, no connection with God, but yet you think that you all of that because of what you have. In whom he would set up for business, set up with situations, set up with spots and houses and cars, you know. This is a brother that with any young lady that he met, he could set her up. She's straight. Don't have to never worry about nothing in life as long as you with me. Whom he would put down, he would put down. When he's tired of you, use you to the fullest, no longer useful for him, he would get rid of you. Now, before we go any further, what are we talking about? Before we get to the end of this, what are we talking about? We're talking about a rich king and a ruler who started mistreating people. We're talking about someone who started mistreating people in every way for his own pleasure, for his own reasons. Now listen. But when his heart was lifted up and his mind hardened, in pride he was disposed from his kingdom. He was disposed from his throne, and they took his glory from him. And he was driven from the sons of men, and his heart was made like a beast, and his dwelling was with the wild asses. They fed him with grass like oxen, and his body was wet with dew of heaven, till he knew that the Most High God ruled in the kingdom of men, and that appointeth whomever he will. Now, this is one who lost the kingdom. This is one who had everything, but the way he treated people started resonating into the world, into everything he was doing. So his mistreatment to people caused him to lose everything he had. That's one. Now, for those that you have Bibles, before we go into the Word and end this with something, I want you to go to Daniel 41. No, I'm sorry, Genesis. Genesis. Go all the way back to the beginning. Genesis 41. I'm gonna see all these stories you have to read about. Now, here's one who was a slave. Here's one whose family turned their back on him and left him for dead. Here's one who had no friends. Now, we just looked at one who was in kingdom power and authority. One who had all the resources at his hand. One who was there was no limit to the money and the glory that he represented. No limit to the influence that he had over the people. But through a shift, a change of his heart, he lost everything. Now here's one, much like ones that we can relate to. One who was placed on jobs. One who was placed in jail. One whose family turned against him. One who had no friends. But one who had a heart that was in a place where God could respond. One who had a heart in a place where God would lift him up. Genesis 41 and 39, and the Pharaoh said unto Joseph, for as much as God hath showed thee all this, there is none so discreet and wise as thou art. Thou shalt be over my house, and according unto thy word shall all my people be ruled, only the throne will I be greater. Now listen to this. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, see, I have set thee over all the land of Egypt. I don't have the time today to read over the whole entire story. But I can tell you that Joseph was sold by his brothers. Joseph was left for dead. Joseph was sold as a slave. Joseph was placed in jail. Joseph had people that turned on him. When he went to jail, everything in that jailhouse bowed because God was in him. When he was placed in slavery, there was a connection made to him, to the Pharaoh, and God lifted him up to have possessions, like a king on a throne, and to bring him in a place where Joseph had rule over all Egypt. Look, today I'm not preaching hard with a word that's going to break and send you out here terrified if you're not in a place with God. But what I want you to remember, what I want you to let resonate in your heart, is that being in the will of God is what sets the direction of your prosperity or your poverty. It is your heart. It's not your ambitions. It's not the dull things that you're doing that is not in the will of God. You know and I know, no matter what you say to me, that you have a choice right now, whether you do good or not so good. You have a mind where you can meditate on the things of God, and you can say to, let the meditation of my heart, Father, let my heart purge those things that are not like you. Let my heart be connected. The Bible declares that David was a man after the heart of God. Why could he be so blessed, but yet he was a fornicator, he was an adulterer? Why could he be blessed when he was a liar and he was a thief? Why could he be blessed when he was a murderer and a backstabber? Why? Because out of all the mess that he did and everything that he fell into, that man still had enough sense to go before God and say, forgive me and purge my heart. Give me a heart that would stand in your will, Lord.